of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on Saturday, 9th May 2026.
And another motion is expected to be moved by Mr. Mishek Nyambose, Member of Parliament for Chasefu, and he wants to urge that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Local Government Accounts on the report of the Auditor General on the Constituency Development Funds for the financial year ended 31st December 2024 for the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on Saturday, 9th May 2026.
The chairperson of the Committee on Transport, Works and Supply, Mr. Mubika Mubika, will move a motion urging the House to adopt the report of the Committee on Transport, Works and Supply on the accession to and ratification of the 2010 Convention on the Suppression of Unlawful Acts relating to International Civil Aviation CAB 2655 for the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on Saturday, 9th May 2026.
Mr. Mubika is also expected to move a motion in which he urges the House to adopt the report of the Committee on Transport, Works and Supply on the accession to the protocol amending the Convention on Offences and certain other acts committed on board aircraft, Montreal 2014, CAB 2671 for the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on Saturday, 9th May 2026.
Mr. Mbika will then move another motion urging the House to adopt the reports of the Committee on Transport, Works and Supply on the ratification of the protocol supplementary to the 1970 Convention for the suppression of unlawful seizure of aircraft, thus Beijing Protocol 2010, CAB 2665, for the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on Saturday, 9th May 2026. So those are the motions that will be considered on the floor of the House today.
And Claudette, not forgetting that the Minister of Finance and National Planning is also expected to move a motion of supply that the House resolves into Committee of Supply to consider the supplements of estimates number 1 of 2026.
Time now to look at the bills that will be considered today at second reading and committee stage. We have the Flying Doctor Service Bill, National Assembly Bill number 47 of 2026. It will be read the second time. The Zambia Medicines and Medical Supplies Agency, National Assembly Bill number 48 of 2026. The Zambia National Public Health Institute, National Assembly Bill number 50 of 2026, comes up at second reading stage.
And we also have the National Health Research Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 59 of 2026, coming at second reading, and the Persons with Disabilities Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 64 of 2026, coming at second reading. And the last one coming at second reading is the National Pension Scheme Bill, National Assembly Bill number 68 of 2026. And after that, the House is expected to resolve into committee, and quite a number of bills are also expected to be considered at committee stage, beginning with the Land Survey Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2026. We also have the Anti-Gender-Based Violence Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 18 of 2026, also to be considered at committee stage.
The House will also consider the Health Professions Bill, National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2026, the Nurses and Midwives Bill, National Assembly Bill number 25 of 2026, the Mental Health Bill, National Assembly Bill number 26 of 2026, the Agriculture Lands Bill, National Assembly Bill number 31 of 2026.
The House will also consider the National Housing Authority Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 33 of 2026, the Food and Nutrition Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2026, and the National HIV, AIDS, STI, TB Council Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 42 of 2026, and the last one to be considered at committee stage is the Zambia Institute for Tourism and Hospitality Studies Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 55 of 2026. So in total, we have 17 bills that are expected to be considered on the floor of the House today.
And so, like we mentioned earlier, the House will consider one question for oral answer understanding order number 80. And this is coming from Kana, Member of Parliament, Mr. Mpundu. He's going to ask the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation approximately how many Zambian citizens there were In the Republic of South Africa, as of Wednesday, 6 May 2026, what measures the government is taking to ensure the safety and well-being of Zambian citizens in view of the ongoing anti-immigrant protests in South Africa, whether any Zambian citizens were affected by the disturbances as of Wednesday, 6 May, and how many Zambian citizens were affected. That's the only question for answer understanding order number 82 that will be considered on the floor of the House.
And other business on today's order paper will include announcements if there will be any, and also the House is expected to have a ruling. Madam Speaker is expected to render a ruling on the floor of the House, and also urgent matters without notice if there will be any. So basically that is a business expected on the floor of the House today, Sunday, 10th May 2026, when business resumes shortly at 10 hours.
And so just about now, we'll leave you with live pictures in the chamber as members of Parliament wait for the resumption of business at 10 hours. And do remember or recall that standing orders 24.1 and 2, 27.34 and 123 of the National Assembly of Zambia Standing Orders 2024 be suspended to enable the House to sit from Monday 4th to Tuesday 12th May 2026 from 10 hours until business is concluded on each day, as well as to consider more than one stage of a bill at a single sitting until the House adjourns Sunday. So this is a motion that was moved by the Vice President, who's also leader of government business. This motion was moved on Thursday, the 30th of April 2026. So we do expect the House to adjourn Sunday on Tuesday. That's the day after tomorrow. And so we urge you to stay tuned right here as we wait for the Speaker's procession to make its way to the chamber. Have a lovely morning.
Honorable members of Parliament, Madam Speaker.
Tendency of Zambia, proud and free, land of wealth and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for our rights. We want freedom's fight, oh, one, strong and free. Africa is our own motherland, fashioned with and blessed by God's own hand. Let us all our people join as one brother.
Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the officers of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation, in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interests you are committed to our charge. Amen.
Good morning. You are watching Parliament Television, and the bells are ringing, signifying that a quorum has not been constituted for business to continue. So bring you live proceedings of the House as soon as a quorum has been constituted. In the meantime, the bells will still ring.
So as we wait for a quorum to be constituted, we will have a recap of the business of the day. We do expect some motions to be moved. The first one is expected to come from Mr. Mlunda, who is Yavonga Member of Parliament. He's expected to move a motion urging the government to adopt the report of the Parliamentary Select Committee appointed to scrutinize the presidential appointment of Mrs. Loveness Mambo Mayaka to serve as Clerk of the National Assembly for the fifth session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Saturday, 9th May 2026.
Another motion to be moved by Mr. Meshek Nyambose, Member of Parliament for Chasefu, urging that the House adopts the report of the Committee on Local Government Accounts, on the report of the Auditor General, on the Constituency Development Funds for the financial year ended 31st December 2024 for the fifth session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Saturday, 9th May 2026.
We also expect Mr. Mubika, Chairperson of the Committee on Transport, Works and Supply, to move a motion urging the government to adopt the reports of the Committee on Transport, Works and Supply on the accession to and ratification of the 2010 Convention on the Suppression of Unlawful Acts relating to International Civil Aviation CAB 2655 for the fifth session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Saturday, 9th May 2026.
Mr. Mubika will also move a motion to urge the House to adopt the report on the Committee on Transport, Works and Supply on the accession to the protocol amending the Convention on the Offences and certain other acts committed on board aircraft Montreal 2014 CAB 2671 for the fifth session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Saturday, 9th May 2026.
Mr. Mubika will also move a motion urging the House to adopt the reports of the Committee on Transport, Works and Supply on the ratification of the protocol supplementary to the 1970 Convention for the Suppression of Unlawful Seizure of Aircraft, Beijing Protocol 2010 CAB 2665 for the fifth session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Saturday, 9th May 2026.
And we also expect the Minister of Finance and National Planning to move a motion of supply that the House resolves into Committee of Supply to consider the supplementary estimates number 1 of 2026. And thereafter, on the orders of the day, we have in total 17 bills to be considered by the House. The first 8 will be considered at the second reading stage, and this is the Zambia Flying Doctor Service Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 47 of 2026, the Zambia Medicines and Medical Supplies Agency Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 48 of 2026, the Zambia National Public Health Institute Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 50 of 2026, and also the Medicines and Allied Substances Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 51 of 2026.
The House is also expected to consider the following bills at committee stage. That's the Land Survey Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2026, the Anti-Gender-Based Violence Bill, National Assembly Bill number 18 of 2026, the Health Professions Bill, National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2026, the Nurses and Midwives Bill, National Assembly Bill number 25 of 2026.
And other bills to be considered at committee stage will include the Mental Health Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 26 of 2026. We also have the Agricultural Lands Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 31 of 2026. Also coming at committee stage is the National Housing Authority Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 33 of 2026, the Food and Nutrition Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2026. We also have the National HIV/AIDS STI/TB Council Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 42 of 2026, and the Zambia Institute for Tourism and Hospitality Studies Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 55 of 2026. All these bills to be considered at committee stage. And other business of the House today will include a ruling expected to be rendered by the Honorable Madam Speaker, and also some announcements if there will be any, and urgent matters without notice if there will be any.
So that's the business that is expected to be considered on the floor of the House today, Sunday, 10th May 2026. So as soon as the quorum is constituted, business will resume. We urge you to stay tuned right here as we continue to bring Parliament closer to you.
Yes, and the House is sitting today because standing orders were suspended on 30th April. These are standing orders 24.1 and 227, 34 and 123 of the National Assembly of Zambia, standing orders 2024 to enable the House to sit from Monday 4th to Tuesday 4th May 2026 from 10 hours until business is concluded on each day, as well as consider more than one stage of a bill at a single sitting until the House adjourns the sine die. And this was also to enable the House conclude all outstanding business. So we cross back to the floor of the House. Good morning.
Order, honorable members, can we settle down and get back to work? There are no announcements today, so I'll go straight into the ruling. This is the ruling on the following points of order. The first one was raised on Wednesday, 8th April 2026, by Mr. G.K. Chisanga, Member of Parliament for Lukacha constituency, on whether Mr. J. Katambo, Member of Parliament for Masaiti constituency, Mr. J. Chibuye, Member of Parliament for Ron constituency, Mr. S. Mushanga, Member of Parliament for Bwacha constituency, Mr. S. Chanda, Member of Parliament for Kanchivia constituency, Mrs. M. Nakaponda, Member of Parliament for Isoka constituency, and Mr. L. Chivombwe, Member of Parliament for Bahati constituency. Whether there were any abrogation of Article 72 of the Constitution of Zambia, Cap 1 of the laws of Zambia, following allegations that they had crossed the floor to join the United Party for National Development, UPND. The second point of order was raised on Friday, 10th April 2026, by Dr. C. Andeleki, Member of Parliament for Katombola constituency, on whether Mr. B. M. Munduvile, Member of Parliament for Porokoso constituency, Mr. G.K. Chisanga, Member of Parliament for Lukacha constituency, and Mr. S. Kampiongo, Member of Parliament for Shiwangandu constituency, were in contravention of Article 72(2) of the Constitution of Zambia Act, Cap 1 of the laws of Zambia, following the adjoining of the Forum for Democracy and Development Party, FDD, through the Tonse Alliance. And the third one was raised on Tuesday, 14th April 2026, by Mr. Bimpundu, Member of Parliament from Nkana constituency, on whether the House was in order not to declare the Luangeni parliamentary seat vacant, following Honorable M.F. Moyo, second Deputy Speaker's joining the United Party for National Development, UPND, when he was elected as an independent Member of Parliament. Honorable members, the House will recall that on Wednesday, 8th April 2026, when the House was considering question for oral answer number 286, and Honorable G. Siakalima, MP, Minister of Education, had just concluded responding to a supplementary question from Mr. K. Mukosa, Member of Parliament for Chinsali constituency. Mr. G. K. Chisanga, Member of Parliament for Lukacha constituency, raised a point of order premised on Article 72 of the Constitution of Zambia, Cap 1 of the laws of Zambia. Honorable members, in raising his point of order, Mr. G. K. Chisanga, MP, stated that one of the constitutional requirements for members of Parliament is to remain in their seats throughout the tenure of Parliament without defecting to another political party. In particular, Article 72 2D and G provides that a member of Parliament who resigns from a political party that sponsored the member, or who, having been elected as an independent, joins a political party, is deemed to have vacated his or her seat. He further indicated that it was on record that the following members of Parliament had defected to the United Party for National Development, UPND. 1, Mr. M. Katambo, MP. 2, Mr. S. Mushanga, MP. 3, Mr. J. Chibuye, MP. 4, Mr. S. Chanda, MP. 5, Mrs. M. Nakaponda, MP. And 6, Mr. L. Chibombwe, MP. In view of the foregoing, he inquired whether the said members had not abrogated Article 72 of the Constitution by continuing to hold office as members of Parliament. In my immediate response, I reserved my ruling in order to study the matter. Further, honorable members, the House will recall that on Friday, 10th April 2026, when the House was considering the motion to adopt the report of the Planning and Budgeting Committee on the effectiveness of Zambia's extended credit facility and its impact on budget support and debt sustainability, Dr. C. Andeleki, Member of Parliament for Katombola constituency, raised a point of order based on Standing Order 139 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2024. Honorable members, Dr. C. Andeleki MP's point of order arose from the provisions of Article 72 2D of the Constitution, which provides that a member of Parliament ceases to be a member if he or she resigns from his political party that sponsored him or her to the National Assembly and joins another political party. In that regard, he inquired whether Mr. B. M. Munduvile, MP, Mr. G. K. Chisanga, MP, and Mr. S. Kampyongo, MP, were in order to continue being recognized as members of Parliament and to enjoy the privileges of the House when, in fact, they had joined the Forum for Democracy and Development Party, FDD, through the Tonse Alliance. In her immediate response, the Honorable Madam First Deputy Speaker reserved her ruling in order to study the matter and ensure that a measured ruling was rendered, as a similar point of order had earlier been raised. Lastly, honorable members, the House will recall that on Tuesday, 14th April 2026, when the House was considering question for oral answer number 295, and the Minister of Fisheries and Livestock had just concluded responding to a supplementary question from Mr. K. Mukosa, MP, Mr. Bimpundu, Member of Parliament for Nkana constituency, raised a point of order premised on Article 72(2)(g) of the Constitution. Honorable members, Mr. Bimpundu, MP, stated that Article 72(2)(g) of the Constitution provides that, and I quote, "The office of Member of Parliament becomes vacant if the member, having been elected to the National Assembly as an independent candidate, joins a political party," end of quote. In view of the above constitutional provision, Mr. Bimpundu, MP, inquired whether the House was in order not to declare the seat for Lwangeni constituency vacant following Honorable M.F. Moyo MP's decision, having been elected as an independent candidate to join the UPND party. In her immediate response, the Honorable Madam First Deputy Speaker noted that the point of order was the third one of a similar nature, and accordingly reserved her ruling. Honorable members, I have since studied the matter raised in the 3 points of order and note that they are all premised on Article 72(2) of the Constitution. In that regard, I will render one ruling. Honorable members, the 3 points of order raise the vacation of seat by a Member of Parliament who crosses the floor of the House. Honorable members, I note that all 3 Members of Parliament who raised the point of order did not lay on the table of the House any evidence to prove their allegations. However, in line with parliamentary practice and the rules of natural justice, the Office of the Clerk on Wednesday, 6th May 2026, wrote to the following members who were alleged to have crossed the floor to state their side of the story. 1. Honorable M.F. Moyo, MP. 2. Mr. M. Katambo, MP. 3. Mr. S. Mushanga, MP. 4. Mr. J. Chibuye, MP. 5. Mr. S. Chanda, MP. 6. Mrs. M. Nakaponda, MP. 7. Mr. L. Chibombwe, MP. 8. Mr. B. M. Muntubile, MP. 9. Mr. G. K. Chisanga, MP. 10. Mr. S. Kampiongo, MP. Honorable members, on Friday, 8th May 2026, the following Members of Parliament personally delivered their responses to the Office of the Clerk. 1. Mr. M. Katambo, MP. 2. Mr. S. Mushanga, MP. 3. Mr. J. Chibuye, MP. 4. Mr. S. Chanda, MP. 5. Mrs. M. Nakaponda, MP. And 6. Mr. L. Chibombwe, MP. In their responses, all the 6 honorable members that I have cited denied having defected to the UPND. They stated that they stated that they merely expressed interest in joining the UPND. Mr. S. Chanda, MP, went further in his response to indicate that in his statement dated 22nd March 2026, he expressed his intention to join the UPND immediately after the dissolution of Parliament and was therefore still a member of the Patriotic Front. Honorable members, having reviewed the responses from the members who were the subject of the point of order raised by Mr. G.K. Chisanga, Member of Parliament for Lukasha constituency, and in the absence of any evidence from Mr. G.K. Chisanga, MP, to support his point of order, my ruling on the point of order by Mr. G.K. Chisanga, MP, is that the 6 members of Parliament are in order as they have not abrogated the Constitution and therefore should continue to execute their mandate as members of Parliament. Honourable members, with regard to points of order raised by Dr. C. Andeleki MP and Mr. Bimpundu MP, respectively, the Office of the Clerk has to date not received any response from Mr. Brian M. Mundubile MP, Mr. George K. Sanga MP, and Mr. Stephen Kampyongo MP, and Honourable Moses F. Moyo MP. Accordingly, in the absence of responses from the members concerned, I am constrained from making a conclusion as to whether these members were alleged to have crossed the floor, who were alleged to have crossed the floor did in fact do so. The 2 points of order by Dr. C. Andeleki MP and Mr. Bimpundu MP, respectively, therefore lack merit due to lack of evidence. As such, Honourable Moses F. Moyo MP, Mr. Brian M. Mundubile MP, Mr. George K. Sanga MP, and Mr. Stephen Kampyongo MP are also in order to continue to discharge their functions in the House as members of Parliament. Honourable members, I wish to inform the House that on 29th April 2026, my office received correspondence from Mr. Chanda Augustine B. Katotobwe regarding his resignation from his position as Member of Parliament. In his letter, Mr. C. Katotobwe informed my office that in accordance with Article 72 of the Constitution, he was resigning from his position as Member of Parliament for Luapula constituency because he had accepted the position of presidential candidate for the Patriots of Economic Progress, PEP party, in the 13th August 2026 general elections. Subsequently, on the same day, I received further communication from Mr. Katotobwe's lawyers, J&M Advocates, confirming that the letter of resignation was duly signed by Mr. Chanda Augustine B. Katotobwe. While Mr. Katotobwe is not a subject of the 3 points of order that are the subject of my ruling, in his letter of resignation and confirmation by his lawyers gives me sufficient basis upon which to act. In this regard, necessary steps have been taken to ensure that Mr. Katotobwe does not participate in the conduct of the business of the House for the remainder of this meeting. Honourable members, let me take this opportunity to guide the House, as I have done on numerous occasions, that where a member wishes to raise a point of order founded on an allegation of fact, that member is required to lay the necessary evidence on the table of the House to prove the allegation. In the absence of such evidence, the point of order cannot be sustained. I thank you. Order, honourable members, let's settle down. We have a lot of work on the order paper. Urgent matters without notice. I see none. Questions for oral answer under Standing Order 82. The Honourable Member for Nkana.
It's a question. Madam Speaker, I need guidance. What's the number, colleagues?
351, Honorable Member.
Madam
I understand
Speaker,
it has been
person 351. Thank you.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Binwe Ompundu, of Member of Parliament for Nkana, asked the question as it relating to what's happening in South Africa. Madam Speaker, I also want to note that there has been a press release also by the Consortium of Civil Society on good governance and constitutionalism, raising the same concerns that have been brought to this House. Madam Speaker, the question in A, approximately how many Zambian citizens there were in the Republic of South Africa as of 6 May 2026? And then in B, Madam Speaker, what measures the government is taking to ensure safety and well-being of Zambians in view of the ongoing anti-immigrant protests in South Africa? Then C, whether any Zambian citizens are affected by the disturbances as of Wednesday, 6 May 2026, and if so, how many Zambian citizens have been affected? Madam Speaker, first of all, on behalf of this country, on behalf of my colleague, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, indeed, it's very disturbing what is happening to Africans who are doing business or living in South Africa, and indeed the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Haimbe, is in contact with the fellow counterpart. But here are our responses. Madam Speaker, as it relates to approximately how many Zambian citizens were there in the Republic of South Africa as of 6 May 2026, the answer is as follows. As of 6 May 2026, a total of 8,223 Zambian citizens were residents in the Republic of South Africa. Of these Zambians, 277 are students at 3 universities in South Africa. The distribution is as follows. The University of Johannesburg with 65. The University of Cape Town with 124, and then other universities have about 88. What measures the government is taking to ensure the safety and the well-being of Zambian citizens in the view of the ongoing anti-immigrant protests in South Africa, and indeed, as the consortium has alluded to, disturbing videos and images. This is our response, Madam Speaker, and to the public. Government has put in place various contingency and consular support measures through the Zambian High Commission in Pretoria to safeguard the wellness of Zambian nationals, and indeed, if the situation deteriorates, the Zambian consulate stands ready to really come to the aid of our fellow Zambians. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, in collaboration with the Zambian mission in Pretoria, has heightened its monitoring over the developments, and indeed continue to engage South African authority as well as the law enforcement agencies and communities responsive for the information, so that timely information is shared and coordinated. Madam Speaker, the mission is also working closely with the Zambian Community Association focal point persons and committee leadership structures in affected areas to facilitate communication, dissemination of safety advisories and emergency coordination. The Pretoria mission has also continued to target registration, targeted registration and verification exercise for Zambian nationals residing in identified hotspots in order to strengthen preparedness as well as responsive mechanism. The exercise is intended to capture critical information, including geographical profiles, contact details, location data, and logistical considerations necessary to support timely communication, welfare coordination, and possible evacuation interventions should the situation continue to deteriorate. Zambian nationals have been encouraged, Madam Speaker, and the public to maintain regular contact with the mission and utilize the established emergency communication channels for reporting incidences and seeking assistance wherever it is necessary. Madam Speaker, and indeed to the public, the mission continues to issue precautionary guidance, encouraging our Zambian nationals who are in South Africa to avoid areas experiencing this unrest, remaining vigilant, comply with local security directives, and avoid conduct that may expose them to danger. Government remains prepared to provide appropriate consular assistance to affected nationals in that country in accordance with international practice and availability of resources as well. Should the circumstances require further interventions, the government, through its Zambian High Commission in Pretoria, has continued to engage relevant authorities in South Africa. Madam Speaker, with regards to the measures being undertaken to guarantee the safety and the protection of foreign nationals, including our own Zambian citizens, the government remains confident that the government of the Republic of South Africa will undertake necessary measures to maintain law and order, uphold its constitutional and international obligation in relating to protecting all persons within its jurisdictions, especially, Madam Speaker, also as highlighted by the consortium with their press release that has just been released, to ensure that we do not lose the one Africanism, and also to be mindful of how far we have come. It should be noted that the Ministry, through diplomatic and regional cooperation mechanism, has continued to support efforts aimed at promoting peace, coexistence, the Pan-African spirit of solidarity, protection of foreign nationals, and adherence to regional and international obligations relating to the safety and indeed the dignity of all the migrants. Lastly, Madam Speaker, and indeed to the public, whether any Zambians were affected by the disturbances as of Wednesday, 6 May 2026, and indeed ongoing. Madam Speaker, the response is that no Zambian has been affected by the anti-immigration disturbances in South Africa as of May 6 of 2026, and we hope that this will remain so and that the unrest will be brought to order. Madam Speaker, those are our responses.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Supplementary questions, the Honourable Member Fonkana.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Honourable Minister, this is not a political matter, it's just a national matter. And as such, we don't bring politics on this one. I just want to put it on record. For me, I'm extremely disturbed, Honourable Minister, at the actions of our friends in South Africa. I think that our friends have a very short memory, that the very people that they are now attacking are the people that kept them in times of trouble. it is very sad that we could now go on a rampage attacking the very people that gave us solace or, a shelter. Madam Honorable Minister, I have personally taken an interest because of the friends and relatives who are in South Africa over this matter. I have had conversations with the leadership of the ZASA, which is the Association of the Zambians living in South Africa. And you wish to know, as an example, in KwaZulu-Natal, in a place called East Court, the mayor has already issued an instruction to have all foreigners leave in 21 days. This information, I'm reliably informed, was communicated even to the First Secretary Immigration at our embassy, named Ms. Inonge. I am therefore wondering, Honorable Minister, because in your response in part 3, you have said that there's no one who has been affected. We have a few of our fellow citizens in East Court who now have found themselves in this instruction by the mayor to leave town. How then can we be sure of the information being provided with this mismatch information provided? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And first of all, let me appreciate the Honourable Member of Parliament who has really reminded not only the Republic of South Africa, but indeed us as Africans that we are one. And Zambia in particular has played a critical role in the past and continue to do so for other African countries who are today independent because of our involvement in their struggles and ensuring that if Zambia was independent, that no other African country should remain independent, and because we knew that that would also affect us. So it's a sad reality and a great reminder, and really indeed to keep the Pan-African spirit alive. The question, Madam Speaker, that was on the floor was relating to as of 6 May 2026, and the information that the Honourable Member has brought is very critical to the issue of collecting data. I believe that that will be taken into consideration and make sure that all Zambians who are in that area are actually taken care of. So let's keep all the information coming to the ministry and indeed to the relevant authorities so that we can do what is right for our Zambians. Once again, even in the response, I did say that there will be a lot of updated information that is going on immediately, as they say, out of the hot press. So let's keep ear to that here in Zambia, but also our friends and relatives in South Africa to ensure that we inform the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the mission. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Member for Shuangandu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, this grouping calling itself the Dura movement, yes, the movement which seemingly comprises youth who could have not been born at the time we were looking after their grandparents, not only here in Zambia, but in many other countries within the SADC region, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Tanzania, and indeed many other African countries hosted those grandparents to those Dundula young fellows who are now targeting their fellow Africans in a country which has got law enforcement institutions. It's a very serious source of concern, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, now this has become a regional problem, not only within SADC, but also other African countries. And we have seen statements coming from African countries that have issued official statements dealing with this matter. My question is, under the SADC framework, there are platforms that are meant to deal with this conflicts. What efforts are you making to try and escalate this unfortunate development, which is pointing to xenophobia attacks? What efforts are you making to escalate this matter to the SADC, either the Committee of Ministers responsible for defense and security, or indeed the heads of states, because this matter requires urgent attention. You can imagine, madam, you are just traveling in there, before you know it, you are bumping into these characters, and they start harassing you without due regard for the formalities that are required. South Africa is bound by the international convention. They also look after people who are displaced from other countries and the refugees. So these fellows are not, when they just see we are not like them, it becomes a problem. So this is an urgent matter, Honorable Minister. Are we making an effort to escalate it to the SADC platform so that the matter can be addressed urgently? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Acting Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Indeed, once again, the Honourable colleague has alluded to some of the measures that the Honourable Minister actually is looking into. So as a ministry here in Zambia, but also the missions there have been escalated conversations with the counterparts, but clearly also SADC has really taken wind of this, and we believe that it won't just be at ministerial level, but also the heads of states themselves will have to engage. And also, how do we prevent such from happening? Because this is not the first time we are having these effects of xenophobia behavior, and how do we make sure that we don't only protect Africans, but indeed all human rights, all human dignity, should be actually be observed. Thank you, Honourable Member, for that, and we are expediting those conversations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and good Sunday. Honourable Minister, I want to join my colleagues, especially Honourable Kampiongo, in alluding to the fact that indeed these young boys who are actually the architects of this movement were not born by then, but history tells us that history cannot forgive you if you don't read history. These boys or men should know that many countries suffered at the expense of their freedom. Now, from your statement, Honourable Minister, you indicated the numbers that are in South Africa, and you have actually alluded to the fact that no Zambian has been caught in this crossfire. I want to find out from you, amongst the numbers that we announced, as to whether it involves our hard-working truck drivers, who are mostly attacked most of the time. If at all, they are amongst the numbers that you pronounced, because we know that, Madam Speaker, our drivers have actually had a very, very difficult experience in South Africa, some of whom had their vehicles stripped of their tires in the daylight robbery, chasing them to come back to Zambia and leave employment for South Africans. Are our truck drivers safe, or are they among the numbers that you have indicated that they are safe? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Acting Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation.
Madam Speaker, the question was related to those that are resident in South Africa, and hence the response was affecting those that are resident. However, the concerns remain, Honourable Member, and indeed the Ministry is also looking into that. Once again, as of today, I should say that nothing in terms of the diplomatic channels has been received as any, including the truck drivers that have been affected. However, we know that these events happen in real time. If any one of you, if anyone out there has any information, please, the mission and indeed the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation stands ready to kick in the diplomatic engagements that needs to happen. Above all, prevention is what we are asking for. So let people take advantage of the communications that have been set out there. And I hope they become public also. Maybe we should be able to have them advertised in the newspapers or in radio, so that if there are any hotlines that people can call, I think it would be important for us who are here to know those numbers, so that we can tell those who are in South Africa, but also the people that you have asked about, which are the truck drivers. And also to ensure that the South African government really consider quickly intervening in this issue. Zambia will remain a very strategic located country where we see a lot of traffic passing, including South Africa and many other countries, and would hate for such similar behavior to be reciprocated on other drivers. We are one Zambia, one nation, and we are also one Africa and one continent, and we should be able to act in the manner that unify all of us. Thank you, Honourable Member.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Member from Ghana.
Honourable Minister, in your response, you indicated that your counterpart, the Substantive Minister for Foreign Affairs, has been engaging his counterpart in South Africa over this matter. First of all, I'm satisfied with the answer you gave in my first question. And I also just want to implore you that there's need for agency over this matter, because there are quite a number of other cases, though not very fully confirmed. One student is reportedly missing from one of the universities, and many other cases. I just want to find out from your interaction with the SA government, if it was a case of a rogue organization, it could be understood. But the issue at hand now involves not just this organization called Dudula. It is also South African police who are reportedly also, aiding these activities. In your interaction, is this the position? Do you think this is a position of the government of South Africa to kick out foreigners, or what could this be? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Acting Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't think there is any reasonable government that will do such acts, or indirectly or directly. However, the problem remains, Honourable colleague, that this xenophobia behavior through the same organization that has been mentioned, whether it's Duhula, which is an organization I hear is more of for young people, but to claim that on the sovereignty of another government, maybe we are stretching a little bit far. But again, we will continue engaging with the South African government to ensure that these heinous acts come to an end, and to ensure that the Zambian citizens are protected. Once again, it is important that whatever information is coming in, please send it, because these events happen in real time, and there's no way that we can know everything. And given the question has been overtaken by events, but I'm also in touch with the Permanent Secretary, who is in touch with the mission in South Africa. Even as I am responding, they're also following live right now, and they are giving us responses. So we do stand comfortably that as of today, in terms of the diplomatic channels, no official report has yet been given. That does not mean there couldn't be an issue out there which honourable colleagues may be aware of. Please bring those important important information to the mission and indeed to the ministry, so that our fellow Zambians are protected and are safe.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Member from Ghana said that he is satisfied with the answers that have been provided, but I see some Honourable Members are still indicating. We will try with one and then see if we are repeating ourselves, then we will move to the next stage. We start with the Honourable Member for Nakonde.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Honourable Minister, one of the measures that you have indicated is to maintain regular contacts with the government. Madam Speaker, I wanted to to ask in the same vein if the government is ready to render any logistic assistance for those who feel they can come back home. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation.
Once again, thank you, Honorable Member. I don't know whether you're in the House or you have just come. Clearly, the responses to the questions that were raised, it is clear that the government of the Republic of Zambia stands ready to repatriate those who may be in hotspot areas, those who feel threatened. But once again, we are saying even for the missing student, that report has not come to the mission. So please, 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 we can only intervene as a government on behalf of our beloved brothers and sisters who are in South Africa if they report these issues, if they report they're being affected in the areas where they are. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Bwana Mkubwa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And thank you, Minister, the Acting Minister of Foreign Affairs, for the forward answers you are giving us. So now I'll ask you a forward question. Madam Speaker, we've heard the answers we've been given. Now, Minister, I wanted to find out, because the statistics you've given us of Zambians who are in South Africa, and those who are in locations, those who are residing in different areas. I just wanted to find out, because how you are ensuring that updated and are informed of the processes and procedures of conduct that I think the government is putting in place to ensure that they're safe. And if anything, if they need to be evacuated or moved out of South Africa. So I wanted to find out what mode of communication your ministry through the embassy in South Africa is keeping our people in touch of the happenings. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As I've alluded to, actually, even as we are being asked here in the House, also answers are coming. I have asked for a hotline if there is any. Once again, I do not have that as of now, but clearly, because this is an issue that is still going on, please let's keep our ears to the media, whether that is through radio, through other means of communication. But in terms of just the regular standard, the mission in Pretoria are the ones who stand ready. And a lot of our citizens who are already in South Africa, through their associations, through their groupings, they do have access to these numbers. But I think it would be important, Honourable Member, and indeed to the question, that even us here in Zambia, we are privy to those numbers, so that just in case, maybe it was a truck driver, maybe it was someone we know, that we can also be on alert. What affects our brothers and sisters in South Africa or anywhere in the world, we, as the Zambian government, we are affected and concerned, and we care deeply that we want to make interventions. Now, to the latter part of your question, I think I already addressed that the government stands ready either to evacuate or to bring in as much support as needed, depending on the circumstance and the situation. Once again, let the mission know, because what we are hearing in the House is well and good, but it has to go through the diplomatic channels and the channels that have been created. That way we can move in quickly and expeditiously. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The last question, the Honourable Member for Kafue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Maybe mine won't be a question, but just to encourage government, indeed, to continue engaging seriously the South African government over these issues, because as you are aware, Madam Speaker, we are just returning from the Pan-African Parliament, and for me, I actually witnessed what is happening and not depending on what was in the, reported in the social media. So it's a very important and urgent matter, you know, which requires that intensified engagement, because otherwise it's even defeating the purposes that we are trying to champion, even under the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, for instance. It's not only students, it's people doing business across countries, and if we are going to let that situation continue, then all these efforts that we are doing will be negated. I thought I needed just to add that, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a comment. Yeah, thank you very much for that comment. The Honorable Minister, Acting Minister, has taken note. So we make progress. Motions, the Honorable Member for Siavonga.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report of Parliamentary Select Committee appointed to scrutinize presidential appointment of Mrs. Loveness Mambo Mayaka to serve as Clerk of the National Assembly for the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on Saturday, 9th May 2026.
Is the motion seconded?
Yes, it is, Madam Speaker.
Order, Honorable Members, order. Seconded by the Honorable Member for Kasama Central. The question is that this House adopts the report of the Parliamentary Select Committee appointed to scrutinize the presidential appointment of Mrs. Loveness Mambo Mayaka to serve as Clerk of the National Assembly of Zambia for the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on Saturday, 9th May 2026. Any debate? The Honorable Member for Siavonga.
Madam Speaker, in accordance with the Standing Order 209 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2024, and Section 3 of the National Assembly Staff Act, Chapter 257 of the Laws of Zambia, the Select Committee scrutinized the presidential appointment of Mrs. Loveness Mayaka, Mambo Mayaka, to serve as Clerk of the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, against this background, the committee received both written and oral submissions from various stakeholders who included state security agencies, the former Clerk of the National Assembly, the appointing authority. The committee also interacted with the nominee and carefully scrutinized curriculum vitae. Madam Speaker, the committee also carefully considered the legal framework governing the appointment of the Clerk of the National Assembly. In this regard, the committee observes that Section 3 of the National Assembly Staff Act, Chapter 257 of the Laws of Zambia continues to provide the legal basis for which ratification of the presidential appointment of the Clerk of the National Assembly as Parliamentary Service Act number 12 of 2016 has not been operationalized. Madam Speaker, all the stakeholders who appeared before the committee submitted that the nominee possesses extensive institutional knowledge, sound leadership qualities, professional competence, and a deep understanding of parliamentary procedure and administration. Additionally, state security agencies submitted that they had no adverse records against the nominee that would render her suitability for appointment, unsuitability for appointment. Madam Speaker, in view of the foregoing, the committee is satisfied that the nomination and proposed ratification of Mrs. Loveness Mambo Mayaka is consistent with the applicable legal framework. Madam Speaker, having carefully considered submissions and evidence placed before it, the committee is satisfied that Mrs. Loveness Mambo Mayaka possesses the qualifications, experience, competence, and integrity required to serve as Clerk of the National Assembly. Accordingly, the committee recommends that this House ratifies the presidential appointment of Ms. Loveness Mambo Mayaka as Clerk of the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, allow me to express the committee's sincere appreciation to all stakeholders who appeared before it and rendered valuable submissions. The committee also thanks your office and that of the Clerk of the National Assembly for the support and guidance provided throughout the scrutiny process. Madam Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you very much. Does the seconder wish to speak now or later?
Now, Madam Speaker.
Oh, sorry. The Honourable Member for Kasama Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I thank you for according me this opportunity to second the motion on the ratification to the appointment of Mrs. Loveness Mambo Mayaka as Clerk of the National Assembly of Zambia. Madam Speaker, I will restrict my submission to the academic and professional qualifications of the nominee. Madam Speaker, the nominee possesses the requisite academic qualifications for the position. She holds a Master of Science degree from the National University of Ireland and a Bachelor of Arts degree with education in mathematics and statistics from the University of Zambia. She also possesses a postgraduate diploma in development planning from the Institute of Social Studies in The Hague, Netherlands, and a certificate in public policy analysis from the Kenya Institute of Administration. Madam Speaker, with regards to her professional work experience, the nominee has over 30 years of public service experience. She began her career in 1993 as a statistician at the then Central Statistical Office, now Zambia Statistics Agency, where she rose through various positions up to principal statistician. Madam Speaker, the nominee later joined the National Assembly in 2005 and has therefore served the National Assembly for more than 20 years in different capacities, including research officer, principal clerk, principal research officer, deputy clerk administration, and now acting clerk of the National Assembly, and now the nominee for clerk of the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, in this regard, the nominee possesses both academic and professional work experience appropriate for one to be appointed as clerk of the National Assembly. She possesses extensive and demonstrable experience in parliamentary administration and procedure, providing her substantial institutional knowledge and an in-depth understanding of parliamentary operations, both of which are essential to the effective discharge of functions of the clerk of the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, with these few remarks, I support the motion to ratify the appointment of Mrs. Loveness Mambo Mayaka as Clerk of the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, I beg to second.
Thank you very much. Any further debate? The Honourable Member for Nkana.
Madam Speaker, this August House is being asked to ratify the appointment of the Chief Executive Officer of the National Assembly, a very important position to the life of the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, the Clerk of the National Assembly is the principal or chief advisor to the Assembly on procedural matters and on administrative matters. Critical to the appointment are consideration of two things: experience and qualification. Madam Speaker, the relevant provisions of the law that helps us to interrogate this matter are the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia which in Article 84 provides for the establishment of the office of the Clerk of the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, the President by Article 84 is mandated or empowered to appoint one who should become the Clerk of the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, to give effect to Article 84, there was established a law in 2016 called the Parliamentary Service Act. Unfortunately, up to today, the Parliamentary Service Act has not been operationalized. When you peruse through the Parliamentary Service Act, it goes to establish, proposes to establish the Parliamentary Service Commission. Like many other institutions such as the National Assembly, the proper governance of this assembly, as envisaged in the Service Act, should be done through what others may call a board or a commission, as the case of the Service Act is concerned. Madam Speaker, I'm wondering why this important piece of legislation for 10 years has remained unoperationalized. It only required operational orders to give life to this very important piece of legislation that should have helped provide guidance or governance to this institution. Madam Speaker, if Article 84 is not given effect by this important piece of legislation, we are now falling onto or relying on the Staff Act. Madam Speaker, I am not so, or rather I'm not the authority in legal matters. When I peruse through the Staff Act, it basically, Madam Speaker, provides for the establishment of the office of the clerk. It does not give effect to the constitutional provision in Article 84. So, Madam Speaker, here I am conflicted, because for the President to make the appointment, he needed to have a supporting law, or law rather, which is the law that was promulgated in 2016, the Parliamentary Service Act. For us to continue relying on the Staff Act, for me, I find it very disturbing. Madam Speaker, if you go through the Parliamentary Service Act, just on qualification, because here we are saying this officer is going to be your chief legal advisor. Madam Speaker, I know you are conversant with the law, but you needed somebody to be helping you, not just on procedural matters, but also when we speak to procedural matters. Somebody to advise you on procedural matters must be very conversant with the law. That is why the Service Act insists on qualification, that the minimum qualification for somebody to be clerk of the National Assembly, they must have at least a degree in law. Perusing through the report, the nominee doesn't have that requisite qualification, because the Service Act does not provide alternative qualification. It is specific. Madam Speaker, when I come here, I read extensively, and those who are heckling should do very well.
May honourable member to debate, please, honourable members. May proceed, honourable member.
Madam Speaker, when I come here, I research. You do well to challenge me, because I am on terra firma. The Service Act, Madam Speaker, provides basic qualification. Minimum 10 years of experience. The nominee has got enough experience. Okay? It goes on to state that the nominee should never have engaged in politics for the last 5 years preceding the appointment. I am not aware of the nominee's involvement in politics. The reason why this was put in the law is because that principal officer there, the CEO, must not be biased in the decision she's going to be, or he or she will be making. That is why it was put in the law. The other requirement is a qualification in law. Very important ingredient to that office. Because like I said, not only will the clerk be helping you on administrative matters, the clerk will be helping you on procedural matters. And to understand procedures, it is issues of ruling, and Madam Speaker, we've seen how you've belabored to rule and searched through, acts and legal, precedents. Madam Speaker.
Order. Honorable Member Fonkana, it's not me who is being ratified. I've never belabored.
Very well guided, Madam
Yeah,
Speaker.
when you are saying you have belabored, surely, let's be fair to each other. Stick to the subject, be relevant.
Madam Speaker, maybe the wording was wrong. Your office is guided by the clerk of the National Assembly and other officers. Those who couched the law did not just do it out of dreams. They realized the enormous task that will be bestowed upon the officer that will sit in the office of the clerk of the National Assembly. That missing ingredient for me is very concerning, because I'm wondering how this chief executive, the principal chief advisor to the Speaker of the National Assembly, will execute a mandate without possessing the requisite qualification in legal matters. I am very disturbed, which is why I'm very reluctant to support this nominee. I am conversant of her experience and qualification in other fields. But if she does not possess this very requisite competence or qualification, how can I be comfortable that she's going to dispense her duties effectively? Madam Speaker, I want to put it to this House. That Service Act simply needs operationalization, simply needs operational orders. This House will do well to give effect to Article 84 by making sure that the Service Act is operationalized. And Madam Speaker, I would have loved, just as I conclude, that this appointment was well made aware of by us. I would have submitted at the stage of the committee, but I was not aware that there was an appointment and there was a select committee. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
The next will be the Honorable Member for Chilubi.
Ekras. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think my starting point too is an issue. Madam Speaker, these are making very disturbing noise.
Let's allow the Honorable Member to debate, please.
My starting point, Madam Speaker, is also on the law. Madam Speaker, we are under normal circumstances. If the Parliamentary Services Act they received the commencement order, today we would have been weighing this nominee, who is not just ordinary nominee, who is not outside the House, but within, and the pivot of this Parliament, would have been weighing the nominee within the parameters of Section 3 of the Parliamentary Services Act and Section 6 of the Parliamentary Services Act. And indeed, Madam Speaker, I have already taken note that that particular piece of registration has no commencement order. And when we want to weigh who becomes a clerk of the National Assembly, it's about the duties and functions that they perform. And this is a chief executive officer of parliamentary services, as they may be. And parliamentary services are defined further in the same law that has not received commencement order. Madam Speaker, there is a struggle in how we arrived at the appointment, not necessarily with the credentials that the nominee may carry, but there is a struggle. There was an attempt, of course. Article 84 has been mentioned, and distantly, we also have to talk about Article 217. the discussion today, Madam Speaker, should not be why we should approve the nominee. It should be, we should question the lacuna in our laws. That it is not only the crack that is in question today, the nominee that is in question today, but it's, Madam Speaker, if you allow me, I would say it's this House, because of that commencement order that is missing. Because we are a law-making body, arm of government. And if we are a law-making arm of government, there is need that we are linked to everything that facilitates business. Madam Speaker, the nominee is not an ordinary nominee, and I have to emphasize, she is an enabler and a facilitator of parliamentary business. And within that parameter, Madam Speaker, parliamentary business should be conducted efficiently, lawfully, and in line with democratic principles. And that, Madam Speaker, I am trying to weigh in that the efficiency, the lawfulness, the democratic principles, as envisaged, of course, in the Constitution, among the many Article 8 of the Constitution. And these are discussions we are supposed to be having, because this is the CEO of people that make the law, meaning that issues of impartiality also come in, issues of being apolitical also come in, issues of integrity are attracted too. So when we are looking at these factors, the CEOs, of course, among other things, is supposed to coordinate professional, and we know, and I do realize that it's the office we are talking about, and she will not work alone. There are lawyers here and there. But, Madam Speaker, the burden of the duty that this particular nominee carries, it was only going to be fine that among the qualifications, and I've noticed that she's a mathematician, a statistician, and a development expert, I would say. But law would have also been very helpful because of the tasks that this particular person is going to take up. And that we cannot circumvent. Madam Speaker, I also want to note that even when the section 6 of the Parliamentary Services Act is not a measure for now, if she was subjected to that measure, if the commencement order was there, she would have passed in a lot of areas, apart from one, which I think the area speaker did talk about. Because even the law enforcement agencies have cleared her. Madam Speaker, when we look at the issues that we are trying to bring forth, I think it is important that we also revisit Section 6. There is, for those that you always read the Constitution, when I say section, I know that they expect me to say article. There is, you cannot understand. Yes, it's not at your level. So, those who read, there's this part, first part of how we transition to a different area when we are having...
Sorry, Honorable Member for Chilubi, there's an indication for a point of order. Is it a point of order? Oh, okay, sorry. Sorry, then you may proceed. I thought it was a point of order.
Yes. I was saying, Madam Speaker, that there is that part which is written by these drafters of the law when we are having a new constitution and the like, and it's quoted in sections. I want us to bring attention to Section 6.1 and Section 21 of that particular part of how things are supposed to be done in absence.
Sorry, order. Let me just guide an honorable member. Let's not quote parts of the law that are not operational. Let's stick to the law that is applicable. That will guide your debate. You may proceed.
Madam Speaker, what I'm quoting is operational. It is the part that facilitates in absence of the operational law. What I'm quoting, Madam Speaker, is this part of the Constitution here, Section 21 and 6, which goes into the main Constitution. That was what I was quoting, which puts in provisions. If there is a law has not been operationalized, what do we do? That is what I was going to, Madam Speaker. That is exactly what I was going to. And that's exactly why I quoted Section 6.1 and Section 21. That's why I apologize that I will not call them articles. Madam Speaker, I know that we have sought leverage in the National Assembly Act, which is also a law. And I think we do appreciate that it is law. But my appeal, Madam Speaker, that going forward, for us not to reach this kind of bottleneck, it's a bottleneck in a way, when it comes to law. We need to see that we are reminded now that these laws that are in the fridge, whatever they are waiting for, should be operationalized, especially just receiving a commencement order. Today I would have been talking about a straightforward issue. With that said, Madam Speaker, given what is available, and the fact that the Parliamentary Services Act is not operationalized, by making sure that it doesn't receive the what? Anything goes. Any qualification goes, because the only tick there, she has the experience. It's only the qualification that would have come in conflict with that particular law, which was not received the commencement order.
Thank you. Your
so,
time is up.
Given that, I think she...
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kabwe Central.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving this opportunity to debate the motion and to support the appointment of Madam Loveness Mambo Mayaka. Madam Speaker, I want to say on the onset, I support her appointment as the Clerk of the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, thank you so much. I was saying I support her appointment as Clerk of the National Assembly. Sorry, there was too much laughing behind. On the pretext that she possesses the qualification and the experience. She has served in the public service for 30 years. And also she has served on this institution, National Assembly of Zambia, even as a deputy clerk under administration. As an administrator, there are a lot of activities that she was doing, managing this institution, coordinating even resources and the personnel. So she has the qualification. And I want to say that our colleagues have said she has no qualification of a lawyer. This institution does not, this office does not work alone if you're a clerk. There are a lot of legal counsels that we have, lawyers that we have under this administration, this assembly. And also it's so gratifying to note that the office that she's supposed to advise, your office, you are already a lawyer. There's a lawyer in that office. So there's no way she can go amiss without she can make laws, or she can make decisions that can mislead your office, Madam Speaker. She has a lot of lawyers that can help her. And during a time when she served as as a deputy clerk, she was also she has also a deep knowledge on legislative governance, where she also coordinating parliamentary procedures and also practices. So she really possesses the rightful qualification. The other thing, Madam Speaker, that is so gratifying is that during a time she served, when she started her work, she rose through ranks. Meaning she understands even lower ranks going up to the highest rank of this institution. So for me, she's the one who possesses good qualifications, requisites, and experience to serve as the deputy clerk. From the time that we lost, from the time of the demise of the last clerk, Mr. Roy Ngurube, this institution, we have not seen any, mischiefs or that we have not performed according to the expectations of this assembly. We have seen that we have performed well under her administration without any problems. So we need to make sure that we support her appointment so that she continues her work. She has served as acting in this position so well without any problems. Even at a time when we had critical issues, like when we were looking at, of course, on Bill 7, So this assembly was held together. She held members together, all the technocrats together, to make sure that they offered services, supports to the National Assembly. For me, indeed, I want to say that we support the appointment. Her appointment is timely, and she has the qualifications, she has the experience, she has the heart to hold every person in this, every workers at this assembly, to make sure that we perform and we do our work well without any problems. Yeah. Madam Speaker, I want to say that I fully support of her appointment, and I call upon other members to make sure that we ratify her appointments, because she has served this assembly very well without any problems. Thank you so much. I want to say also lastly, Happy Mother's Day to all mothers in this house and outside. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. Just for clarity of the record, Honorable Member for Chilubi, I just want to make sure that we have a correct record. Maybe you can go to your seat, so because I want to ask you something. In your debate, you referred to Article 21 of the Constitution, and Article was of the Constitution.
This part of the Constitution that provides for transition. The first part.
Oh, okay.
That's what I referred to.
Okay, because what you were looking at refers to the part that does with liberties. Civil liberties, so, yes.
Actually, Madam Speaker, in a way, I was trying to say, this is what qualifies the appointment currently.
Okay, we proceed then. We go to the next debater, the Honorable Member for Katombola.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity given to the people of Katombola constituency to make a contribution, Madam Speaker, to the presidential ratification by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia, President Hakainde Hichilema. Madam Speaker, allow me to indicate that the people of Katombola constituency are satisfied with the appointment of the President and supports the nominee on the position of Clerk of National Assembly, Mrs. Loveness Mambo Mayaka, a distinguished, eminent daughter of this land. The people of Katombola constituency, Madam Speaker, brings congratulations to her, particularly the fraternity of our mothers. This is yet another very important appointment, Madam Speaker, in bringing women in the gender parity proportion that His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia has been pushing to say that we need more women in management or leadership position. Madam Speaker, allow me to speak more to the law than to the substance, because there is an attempt, Madam Speaker, to mislead the nation and the world that the nominee is not eminently qualified for appointment. Madam Speaker, I want to confirm that the nominee is fully qualified for appointment as Clerk of National Assembly. First, speaking to the Constitution, Madam Speaker, which is the grand norm or the supreme law of this land, the nominee has been duly appointed in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution of Zambia in Article 84, which states, and for the avoidance of doubt, Madam, I request that I quote ipsis maveba, or word by word, the provisions of the Constitution. Madam Speaker, Article 84, sub-article 1 states, and I quote, there shall be a clerk of National Assembly who shall be appointed subject to ratification of the National Assembly. A person shall not be appointed as clerk of National Assembly unless that person has academic qualification, experience, and the skills prescribed. There is no requirement, Madam Speaker, of being a lawyer, not at all. There is no law degree required, Madam Speaker, for a person to be appointed to the position of clerk. I also want to refer to Section 3, Madam Speaker, of the National Assembly Staff Act, Chapter 257 of the laws of Zambia, that supports the office. I want to speak to the fact that the nominee is fully qualified, Madam Speaker, as has already been espoused by the select committee that considered her eligibility for appointment by His Excellency the President. Madam Speaker, the committee found that the nominee is fully qualified with a Master of Science degree, has also a bachelor's degree.
Continue, I enjoy it.
Madam Speaker, the nominee has relevant experience for her to be appointed to the position of Clerk of National Assembly. There is nowhere, Madam Speaker, under the laws of this land, where it is stated that somebody, for them to be appointed Clerk of National Assembly, they must have a law degree. And one of the members that addressed this House did not quote which law, Madam Speaker, provides for a law degree. I want, Madam Speaker, to bring congratulations from the people of Katombola constituency to the nominee. We are so proud of her achievements. She is a very good example of women in leadership today, Madam Speaker. The Parliamentary Service Commission that was being talked about, which is yet to be brought into operation, this should have been done. PF was in office for 10 years, and they are the ones who ratified the law. Why should they talk today of her not qualifying because of the Service Commission? There's no connection, Madam Speaker, between the Service Commission and the appointment of the nominee. I want also, Madam Speaker, to indicate that the security agencies of this country found that the nominee has credentials that are not questionable. Her character is above board. Therefore, the people of Katombola constituency, Madam Speaker, would like to indicate that we support the nominee and want to wish the nominee well today as we ratify her. Because this is a very serious coincidence, Madam Speaker. This is coming on our Mother's Day, and at the same time, a mother is being ratified. I thank you, Madam Speaker, and wish to wish all our mothers in the House and outside the House Happy Mother's Day. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member Fonkana, what's the point of order?
Madam Speaker, Standing Order number 71 speaks to facts being laid on the floor. The Honorable Member for Katombola refers to Article 84 of the Constitution and states that there shall be a clerk of the National Assembly who shall be appointed by the Parliamentary Service Commission subject to ratification by the National Assembly. And in 2, a person shall not be appointed unless that person has academic qualification, experience, and skills. Is the Member of Parliament for Katombola, okay, says, let me finish, a person shall not be appointed Clerk of the National Assembly unless that person has the academic qualification, experience, and skills prescribed. Is he in order, Madam Speaker? Is he in order to not to go and state the prescription? Because this qualification is prescribed. If he leaves it there, is he in order to suggest this person is he qualified when he has not prescribed the qualification? The challenge he gives to some of us who quoted the Service Act that prescribes the qualification, he has ignored that. Is he in order to suggest we are misleading when he actually is the one who is misleading himself? I seek your indulgence.
Thank you. Honorable Member Fonkana, just for guidance, you cannot quote a law which is not yet operationalized. So the law does not exist. This Parliamentary Service Commission Act is not operational, so you cannot quote it. So even if there are prescriptions under the Act which has not come into effect, it's of no consequences. So that is what the Honorable Dr. Ndeleki, the lawyer, was talking about. Yeah. So he was guiding. So let's make progress. I don't know, There are so many people that have indicated. Is there a need for us to push an open door? Okay, so let the Honorable Minister of Justice to respond.
Madam Speaker, happy Mother's Day to you, to all the women, and indeed to the appointee. And thank you to all the members, Madam Speaker, who have debated, because the Honorable Mpundu there, the only qualification by law for him to become a member of Parliament is a grade 12. And it is clear. And he is here making laws. Just to use you as an example, Honorable. So, if a grade 12 can be a member of Parliament, you can only imagine what it takes to be a clerk. Madam Speaker, allow me, therefore, to commend the work of the committee on their excellent work in scrutinizing the presidential appointment of Mrs. Loveness Mambo Mayaka to serve as a clerk of the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, the report from the committee was clear that not only does she bring great experience of over 20 years in the National Assembly, it also speaks to the deliberate quest of the President of this Republic, President Hakainde Hichilema, to close the gender gap that exists in decision-making positions. Yeah. So to that, President Hakainde Hichilema, once again, we salute you for being mindful of the gender parity that exists in our country. Madam Speaker, the office of the Clerk of the National Assembly is enshrined in the Constitution of Zambia, Chapter 1 of the Laws of Zambia. Article 84 of the Constitution provides that where there shall be a Clerk of the National Assembly, they shall be appointed by the Parliamentary Service Commission. However, as you have guided, Madam Speaker, and indeed through the debate, this Parliamentary Service Act has not yet been enacted. So we hope that a lot of our members will come back and one day see to it that this important act is actually brought into fruition. It has not yet been operationalized, and therefore Article 84 of the Constitution remains without effect. Consequently, Section 6(1) of the Constitution of Zambia, Act number 1 of 2016, Madam Speaker, and indeed to my fellow colleagues, provides that where an act has not been operationalized by a commencement order, the applicable provision of the existing law continue to apply, provided they are not inconsistent with the Constitution. So once again, Madam Speaker, it's about consistency and indeed precedence as well with the previous clerks. Madam Speaker, and indeed to the clerk, to the House, in this regard, the law currently in force is the National Assembly Act, Chapter 257 of the Laws of Zambia, which provides for the appointment of the Clerk of the National Assembly. In particular, Section 3(1) of the Act provides that the Clerk of the National Assembly shall be appointed by the President, subject to ratification, which we are doing right now, Madam Speaker, by the National Assembly. Notably, this provision is consistent with the law. Therefore, Madam Speaker, and indeed the House may wish to note that the appointee has diligently served the National Assembly for over 2 decades, 20 years. In various capacities, she has been acting as Clerk of the National Assembly upon the demise of our clerk, Mr. Ngulube, may his soul rest in peace, for over a year. During this period, Madam Speaker, I think Honorable Member for Kabwe alluded to the work that this House undertook through your leadership, Madam Speaker, and indeed that of the House. And Mrs. Loveness Mambo Mayaka has performed exceptionally and well in carrying out the mandate of the clerk, including the constitutional amendment process that happened under her watch. Madam Speaker, therefore, I urge that the honourable members from both sides of the House to support this appointment wholeheartedly. Let us place confidence in an individual, in a mother, a woman who has proven that she has the capacity to uphold the work of the National Assembly. So on behalf of the President of the Republic of Zambia, the one who has the full appointing authority, we as Minister of Justice, and on my behalf as a minister, endorses the appointment of Mrs. Loveness Mambo Mayaka to serve as clerk of the National Assembly, and therefore urges the House to ratify the presidential appointment. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Member for Siavonga, wind up debate.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Just to appreciate and thank my seconder, the members that have debated, in agreeing that indeed the President made the right choice to nominate Madam Loveness Mambo Mayaka to serve as the clerk of the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we make a decision, there was an indication by Honourable Member for Lunte for a point of order. I told him to wait. What is the point of order, Honourable Member?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's been overtaken by events.
Oh, thank you very much for that overtaking by events. So, time to make a decision. Order, honourable members from Pika, you are coming in late. I put the question. The question is that this House adopts the report of the Parliamentary Select Committee appointed to scrutinize the presidential appointment of Mrs. Loveness Mambo Mayaka to serve as the clerk of the National Assembly of Zambia for the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Saturday, 9th May 2026. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary say no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Next motion. The Honourable Member for Chasefu.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Local Government Accounts on the report of the Auditor General on the Constituency Development Fund for the financial year ended 31st December 2024 for the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Saturday, 9th May 2026.
Is the motion seconded?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Order, Honourable Minister for Wapula. Seconded by the Honourable Member for Dudumwezi. The question is that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Local Government Accounts on the report of the Auditor General on the Constituency Development Fund for the financial year ended 31st December 2024 for the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Saturday, 9th May 2026. Any debate? The Honourable Member for Chasefu.
Madam Speaker, from the outset, allow me to remind the House that the Constituency Development Fund remains one of the most transformative decentralization tools aimed at delivering development directly to our people. However, during the committee's interaction with accounting authorities from the 116 local authorities and other relevant stakeholders on the subject matter, the committee observed several serious systematic weaknesses that, if left unchecked, will undermine the very objective of the fund. Madam Speaker, I'm confident that the members have taken time to peruse the report in this regard. Allow me to highlight a few overarching issues that the committee observed during its interactions with various local authorities. Number one, funding constraints and budgetary inconsistencies. Madam Speaker, the committee observed that out of over 4.7 billion, which was budgeted for the year 2024, only about 2.6 billion was funded, leaving a significant shortfall. Madam Speaker, this inconsistency in funding has had cascading effects, including stalled and incomplete projects, delayed contractor payments, and escalation of project costs. Madam Speaker, while external pressures such as disaster response are acknowledged, the committee recommends that the government should strengthen fiscal discipline and reinforcing Constituency Development Fund allocations to ensure predictability. This is because without consistent funding, planning becomes ineffective and projects inevitably suffer. Number two, poor project planning and implementation. Madam Speaker, while some councils may be commended for implementing projects on time, one of the most recurring issues is weak project planning. The committee notes that projects commenced without full funding, complementary components such as equipment and furniture were omitted, and project sites were not properly assessed before project initiation. Madam Speaker, this resulted in having completed but non-operational facilities, costly redesigns and variations, and delays in delivering services to citizens. The committee therefore recommends that the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development must ensure that local authorities undertake feasibility studies, full project costing, and risk assessments. Additionally, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development must enhance local authorities' planning capacity. Number three, weak contractor management and procurement irregularities. Madam Speaker, the management of contractors remains deeply problematic. The committee observes that most of the local authorities engaged incompetent contractors failed to enforce contractual obligations and delayed terminating contracts of underperforming contractors, resulting in escalation of costs after contract re-awards. Madam Speaker, the committee further observed with concern that In some instances, projects doubled in cost after termination and retendering. The committee is of the view that these challenges arise due to weak due diligence in contractor selection, poor contract supervision, and lack of accountability among project managers. The committee therefore recommends that there is an urgent need to strengthen procurement systems, enforce contractor vetting mechanisms, and utilize regulatory bodies to blacklist errant contractors. Number 4, mismanagement of empowerment funds and loans. Madam Speaker, another issue of concern is the management of empowerment funds. The committee observes that most local authorities misappropriated funds, funded non-existent projects, and failed to monitor beneficiaries of empowerment funds, coupled with poor recovery mechanisms. Madam Speaker, it is sad to note that in some local authorities, beneficiaries were paid empowerment grants without proper documentation. In extreme cases, beneficiaries used the grants and loans for personal activities such as paying children's school fees. Madam Speaker, this undermines the purpose of empowerment and deprives genuine beneficiaries. In this regard, there is a need for strong monitoring frameworks, capacity building for beneficiaries, and strict enforcement of recovery mechanisms. Let me conclude by thanking you, Madam Speaker, the Office of the Clerk, for the guidance and support you rendered to the committee during its deliberations. I further wish to thank all the stakeholders that appeared before it and the technical support rendered to it by the permanent witnesses. Madam Speaker, I also wish to appreciate the members of the committee for their cooperation and dedication to committee work, which made my role as chairperson easy. Madam Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you very much. Does the seconder wish to speak now or later?
Now, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Dunumwezi.
Madam Speaker, may I thank you for giving me this opportunity to second the motion ably propounded by our chairperson, MP for Chasefu. Madam Speaker, from the onset, I rise to support the adoption of the report on the committee. Let me join the chair to emphasize that the Constituency Development Fund is a powerful tool for grassroots development. However, its success depends on the integrity, efficiency, and accountability. Madam Speaker, the Auditor General's report is one of the main tools through which the National Assembly provides oversight, mandate the executive to be accountable for the use of meager resources. The committee, however, notes with concern that since 2021, the Ministry of Finance and National Planning has not produced and availed outstanding issues reports of the committee. Additionally, the lack of Treasury minutes on the reports of the committee weakens the executive's accountability. In view of this, the committee urges the executive to put in place measures to address this backlog on the outstanding issues, reports, and the Treasury minutes. Madam, the other issue of concern is the reactive management culture. It is sad to note that in most cases, accounting authorities acted only after audit queries were raised. Funds had already been misapplied and the projects had already failed. Madam, this culture must change as public service requires proactive oversight, continuous monitoring, and preventive controls. Madam Speaker, the committee notes the presence of overarching financial irregularities and weak internal controls. The report highlights widespread financial irregularities, including 1, unsupported payments amounting to 23 million, 2, unaccounted funds amounting to 7 million, 3, overpayment of empowerment grants amounting to 344,000, and 4, irregular tax charges amounting to 1.2 million. These issues, Madam, points to 1, weak internal controls, 2, poor financial discipline, and 3, lack of accountability. Madam Speaker, officers responsible must be held accountable and face disciplinary action where necessary. Additionally, the recurring nature of these findings suggests systemic weaknesses. Therefore, to address this, we must strengthen oversight mechanisms, enhance the role of accounting authorities, enforce sanctions without hesitations, because accountability must not be selective, it must be consistent. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, let me reaffirm that while the Constituency Development Fund has immense potential to transform communities, its success depends heavily on strong governance systems, accountability and transparency, efficient and timely implementation of projects. The recurring issues identified indicate systemic weaknesses that require urgent policy, administrative, and operational reforms. I therefore call upon this Honourable House to adopt the report and urge the Executive to implement the committee's recommendations in full. Madam Speaker, with these few words, I beg to second.
Thank you very much. Any further debate? The Honourable Member Fonkana.
Madam Speaker, again, thank you for this opportunity. For the last 5 years, we've sat here, debated, argued over the Constituency Development Fund. A very beautiful development tool or agenda. The enhanced CDF by our colleagues, the New Dawn government, gave a sigh of relief to many that perhaps those small challenges in the communities, collapsed bridges, the need for a 1-by-2 classroom, toilets and all these things will be attended to without, so much, ado. Here, Madam Speaker, we have heard our colleagues who have suggested MPs have failed to implement CDF. There is nowhere, and this, since we are concluding Parliament, must be clearly stated. There is no member of Parliament who is responsible for the implementation of CDF. No one. The implementation of CDF is solely a responsibility of the local government through the councils. This audit report of 2024, January to December, is a mirror of all the other audit reports before and speaks to the serious issues of irregularities and mismanagement of the CDF. It is one thing to increase CDF to 40 million now in 2026, but another thing to ensure effective implementation of CDF. The committee has done a very good job in highlighting all these problems that we have been lamenting around over the last 5 years. So let us be clear, Chair of the committee, that no one can ever claim that this MP and that MP did not implement CDF, because implementation is the council. The role of a member of parliament ends at just sitting on the committee called the Constituency Development Fund Committee, agreeing or making an agreement as to which project must be undertaken in the different communities in the constituency. The rest is the work of the council. So all these failures that have been highlighted in this report can be heaped on the Ministry of Local Government through the councils. Madam Speaker, let's speak to this. Madam Speaker, funding constraints. Unfortunately, when we speak to funding constraints, this is not a problem of the local government. This is a problem of the Ministry of Finance. When we appropriate resources towards CDF, the next is disbursement of those funds to the local authority, the Ministry of Local Authority, who in turn releases those funds to the local authorities. Failure to release these funds will bring in these problems of number one, stored projects. Madam Speaker, the story of stored projects is everywhere. We have projects that have not commenced since 2022. And that, someone should heap it on the MP. The Ministry of Finance with the Ministry of Local Government are completely responsible for this failure. When you have delayed payments, Madam Speaker, it escalates the projects, or rather the cost of these projects. A project that should have costed at a certain cost, because of inflation and everything else, by the time you'll be undertaking that project 3 years later, the cost would have ballooned. Would you blame the MP? The two ministries, local government and finance. Madam Speaker, the issue of irregularities, failure to adhere to procurement procedures. Unfortunately, when you read this report, this issue of failure to adhere to procurement procedures is everywhere through the report. It speaks to the corruption that is going on in the local authorities. CDF has now become a cash cow. Local authorities would pay people using lists that are not genuine, especially when it comes to empowerment funds. Madam Speaker, today, people have created makeshift institutions that are training students. And when you go to these training schools today, the costs are so exaggerated. I have on several times hinted to the Minister of Local Government, both the past and the new minister, of the exaggerated cost being charged by institutions that are providing these skills development. So there is a scheme, Madam Speaker, you wish to know, There's a syndicate where some officials would connive, somebody creates a makeshift institution in the name of providing skills, and they will be charging exorbitant fees. Unfortunately, even some councils are culprits. I come from Kitwe. I have argued over this. Our own institution in Kitwe, a training school run by the local authority in Kitwe, was charging 3,000 kwacha per semester, per term. When CDF was enhanced, they increased from 3,000 to 16,000 kwacha. What are you questioning? Madam Speaker, other institutions run by government, as an example, when you go to NOTEC, the fees that they were charging and the fees that they started charging to students that were being sponsored by CDF, complete variance, exorbitant fees. So many of such cases of exaggerated costs, makeshift, institutions are all over. Madam Speaker, these things are not new. We have been speaking to these things for the last 5 years. The problem we have is where oversight or divergent views are seen to be a problem. You speak to your friends highlighting problems, they think you are just a problem. Madam Speaker, today we are closing. You have heard in the report, others, empowerment funds, are paying their children for school fees through empowerment funds. Madam Speaker, incompetent contractors. I have cases in my constituents of contractors in the name of empowering party functionaries. You give contracts to party officials, they fail to perform. So many of contracts in Nkana have had to be cancelled because they were given to party cadres who failed to perform, and council has failed to claim liquidated damages. These are things we've been speaking to for the last 5 years. Alas, our friends thought that we were a problem when, Madam Speaker, let me just end by saying, CDF is a beautiful project. Let us just improve on oversight and implementation of this program. Madam Speaker, I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Member for Chilubi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the people of Chilubi this opportunity to add a word on this very important motion. Madam Speaker, it is clear within the law that CDF has a legal framework. And if CDF has a legal framework, Madam Speaker, we need to follow that legal framework. It is backed by the supreme law of the land. It is also backed by other supportive laws like CDF Act number 1 of 2024, Local Government Act number 2 of 2019, all that backs CDF. What are the principles, Madam Speaker, that should drive CDF implementation? The principles that should drive CDF implementation, Madam Speaker, are among them in Section 3 of the CDF Act, which is transparency, accountability, efficiency, and effectiveness. That is what the law means, that it should, this should be followed. What is obtaining, Madam Speaker? What is obtaining is inadequate supervision and accountability. What is obtaining, Madam Speaker, is cost escalation and weak financial oversight. What is obtaining, Madam Speaker, is failure to recover public funds. What is obtaining, Madam Speaker, is reactive management and weak oversight. What is obtaining, Madam Speaker, is non-compliance with procurement. And why? Why we have such a situation, including poor project planning and implementation? Why we have such a situation, Madam Speaker, I would like to believe that all of us are involved. We are involved because we overlook the law with impunity. For instance, Article 152 has clearly stated that the council shall be positioned as an agent of government to implement all programs in the district. And it clearly says that provincial and national structures are not supposed to interfere with the council. What situation do we have? Opposite. Madam Speaker, the CDF Act, I know that you are just looking for trivialities because that's how you are wired. I'm not wired for trivialities. Madam Speaker, when it comes to the situation where we are supposed to look at how do we implement the law, the Act in Section 5 talks about functions. And as it talks about functions, Madam Speaker, among the functions is that the CDF committee should receive proposals from the WDCs. The other one is that they should review these proposals from the WDCs, Madam Speaker. Apart from that, Madam Speaker, we have the WDCs being a creature of the law. In the Local Government Act, if you peruse through the law, you find Section 36 and 37 provides for that, and the functions of the WDC. What do? We have, the national figures as well as provincial figures directly interfering with the district figures. And the Constitution bars that. It's statutory bad, but we do not follow it. We have, for instance, Madam Speaker, this is not meant for political reasons, but I'm a patriot, and I have to say it. These things we call presidential directives targeting CDF are against the law in actual sense, because the law says that project list should come from the WDCs, which should be approved by the CDF, and the CDF should forward it to the provincial local government officer. That doesn't happen. We have all sorts of presidential directives coming into the CDF, interfering with funds. Madam Speaker, the good example, I know that this is a house of evidence, is this solar thing that has been proposed, where we are going to get 10 million from the 2026 CDF. Our solar project would be in Zambia, Madam Speaker. It is going to go by 10 million. It is of no benefit to Churubi people because we receive electricity through marine cables that have been failing us every day. In Churubi, I think Churubi people can bear me witness that we have a problem with electricity. So what relevance will that particular project under the presidential directive have? Because this is meant to appeal and help the local people. Madam Speaker, I also want to say that we need to depoliticize CDF. Why I'm calling for depoliticizing of CDF, our friends that side, you find when they're speaking, they're saying that we, this side, we always sabotage CDF. That's not a fact. Some of us actually implement CDF better than what is happening in some of the constituencies. We go around the country and we have seen what happens. But you find that even the amendment and the repeal of the CDF Act of 2019 was motivated based on that one. The inclusion of the DC into the CDF was motivated based on the fact that there is no high for the president to watch, especially in opposition dominated constituencies. That was a miss, because it has just further politicized the CDF. For instance, Madam Speaker, I'll be in a constituency for 15 days, waiting for commissioning as it has been. They will make sure that when I leave, the day I leave, that is when they're going to commission, and they make all sorts of political statements. When I'm supposed to be supportive to the same, cause. Madam Speaker, I also want to address what has been raised about my district on page 297 concerning the dropouts of the students. When you look at the dropouts, there is a portion on Churubi there. The students are selected. Yes, there is a serious dropout. It is because these students believe when we are given money, we need to use it. And that has not been diluted by anyone. They go to these institutions, they just learn a bit. When they receive meal allowance, they even go in these compounds to marry temporarily and drink alcohol, which is not meant. We are waiting for human resource, which is well meant for CDF to come back there. That dropout rate, Madam Speaker, is not a joke, and it has to be watched. And many other factors. I would like to supplement, Madam Speaker, that there also must be people being arrested when they abuse CDF. People have taken it for granted. There's a lot of corruption in CDF, as he stated, the Nkana MP. There's a lot of corruption at local government level, where sometimes there's connivance in terms of bringing in a contractor. And even when these things are exposed, there's no arrest that have been made. There is institutional corruption in CDF, which needs to be fought. Government money has been wasted through CDF, through wrong procurement. First they connive, they have kickbacks with the contractor, and then they provide short jobs. At the end of the day, it's government that loses. These individuals have to be arrested. Let us not just end up with reports. They should end up in prison. This is when we are going to have a starting point and fulfill what is in Section 3 of the CDF Act. Madam Speaker, with those few words, I rest my case.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First and foremost, Madam Speaker, let me just thank the government for this enhancement of CDF. This is a project, Madam Speaker, which I think has really helped a good number of constituencies across the country. Madam Speaker, let me also remind my fellow parliamentarians that our duty, Madam Speaker, oversight in our localities, Madam Speaker, it is our duty to see to it that the money the government releases, we make sure that the money goes for the intended purposes. Madam Speaker, I'm worried if you have parliamentarians today who are going to separate themselves from CDF, because we are elected by the people to see to it that what government brings in our areas are implemented by the local authorities or by the government agencies. And it is our responsibility to make sure that those agencies are doing what the people want. Madam Speaker, we have a good number of boys and girls who have sent to trade schools, pursuing different skills. And CDF is doing this. But Madam Speaker, we have a problem. I have a problem with institutions, Madam Speaker, which are falling under TAVETA. The way they have increased their tuition, Madam Speaker, it's abnormal. Some of the schools, Madam Speaker, they have gone beyond what the universities are charging. And I think the Ministry of Science and Technology should take interest in this and see to it that we start regulating these schools. Then the other thing, Madam Speaker, there have been a question, when people graduate from these trade schools, what is it that we are doing, Madam Speaker, to empower them? And there's something lacking in our curriculum at the trades, Madam Speaker, that is of entrepreneurship. Madam Speaker, I propose that to the Minister of Tourism that for this CDF bursary to work, we need to make sure that our boys and girls who are there, we impart them with entrepreneurship skills apart from hands-on skills. In addition to that, Madam Speaker, I just want to ask
Honorable members, let's tone down. There's just a lot of discussions going on in the background. We can't hear what the Honorable Member for Nyimba is saying. May the Honorable Member for Nyimba continue?
Madam Speaker, we have a problem with people from Mirenge, so they are proud when they're making noise. It's not normal for them to sit without making noise. That is where the problem is. Madam Speaker, we have the issue to do with funds for CDF for 2024. Madam Speaker, CDF, I said in my preamble that it's the best thing which has come to us, especially parliamentarians from the rural areas. Madam Speaker, the money for 2024, I pray that the supplementary budget which is coming this month has been included, because we didn't, the Ministry of Finance didn't release this money to our respective councils, and I wish the Minister hasn't forgotten to include this, because what has happened is that the money for 2024, Madam Speaker, had to go to the project for 2024, and the money for the project for 2024 have stalled because we haven't received enough money this year to cut the deficit for 2024. So it's my appeal, Minister, that can we look at this mismatch in terms of allocating money to the constituencies so that we implement, the councils implement, and government, Madam Speaker, would be happy to see that all projects started in 2025 are completed because the money went to the project for 2024. Madam Speaker, we have a situation now in terms of recruitment to implement the CDF projects, Madam Speaker. We are sending, people are recruited from Lusaka, and these people are recruited from Lusaka, Madam Speaker. Maybe sometimes they are not the people needed at the station, at the respective council station. As a result, we have this broadened management set up, and the actual people should be working, Madam Speaker, are not there. So my plea again to the Minister of Local Government, through the Commissioner, Madam Speaker, is to let the council submit the personnel they need, the professionals they need at their respective councils. Madam Speaker, the councils through CDF today, we have bought heavy equipment machines, Madam Speaker. We do not have boys and girls to look after them because we are not employing these people. We are all employing clerks in our councils. We are all employing, Madam Speaker, people who want to work with white-collar jobs. A blue-collar job, Madam Speaker, we are not employing them. And, Madam Speaker, it's my plea again that we need, as we come next year, I know the UPND government is coming, Madam Speaker, with over 70%. So my plea is that can we modernize the CDF structure where we are going to allocate money to the graduates, those who are performing well at our trades, Madam Speaker, our trade schools, some of the universities, Madam Speaker, who are doing trades courses, Madam Speaker, so that we give them something to start with when they come to when they graduate. Because what is happening, we have skilled boys and girls out there, Madam Speaker, who are not working. And as a result, Madam Speaker, we are putting pressure now on those boys and girls. Because what it is, people say, Mwipunzira, meaning you are educated. What has CDF done for you? So my proposal, Madam Speaker, on this is that we add up financial direct. It should be enshrined, Madam Speaker, in the CDF Act or CDF guidelines, Madam Speaker, that the best graduating students, we should be giving them contracts from the same CDF money, Madam Speaker. You send bricklayers, you send electricians, Madam Speaker. They should find something to do within the CDF money so that we even impart experience in those boys and girls. That is my plea, Madam Speaker. And last, Madam Speaker, there is a problem with accountability of funds for CDF, Madam Speaker. The misuse of this fund, Madam Speaker, we need to be very serious. It's not all the councils, Madam Speaker. For me, I've been top of my council, Madam Speaker. But listening to my colleagues, Madam Speaker, it has been a disaster. And it's my prayer that our colleagues, let's also see to it that we are pushing the councils as we come back this year in August, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Member from Pika.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. Madam Speaker, having perused through this report, I am very shocked that public funds have not been used to their intended purpose. Madam Speaker, the increased CDF is a very brilliant idea. And in here, that we've said is not in dispute. But the challenges that we faced over the years since the increment of CDF started, one of them is the government, the central government, abandoning its work of carrying out implementation of capital projects and directing almost everything on the Constituency Development Fund. Much as that is okay, Madam Speaker, it deprives our people of the choice to make on CDF. Our people have challenges that they face on a daily basis that they would want to be attended to using the Constituency Development Fund. And when they submit project proposals, they will find the money is already exhausted. Madam Speaker, right now in 2026, we are dealing with the implementation of the solar funds, which is a directive from the central government. Before this House, Madam Speaker, I have several times talked about the unreleased CDF fund in 2024. And if you read this report, most of the councils, Madam Speaker, ranging from 7, 8, 9, 10 million, up to 12 million, was not released in 2024. And I'm surprised that up to today, the Ministry of Local Government and the Ministry of Finance have not stated to the nation the reasons to why that fund has not been released. And this has put pressure on the councils because projects for 2025 have equally been affected. Projects for 2024 have equally been affected. Madam Speaker, the Constituency Development Fund should have been left in the hands of the citizens, the communities, to decide on which project they want CDF to implement. Unlike the status quo now, where 70%, 80% of the Constituency Development Fund is dictated upon by the central government. The projects that the central government wants to undertake, they take them to Constituency Development Fund. And as a result, the projects that they want, that the people want to be done are not implemented because the central government directives would have gobbled closer to 80%, which now, Madam Speaker, destroys the purpose of CDF. Madam Speaker, when you ask a question here on the floor of the House about a particular road, about a particular hospital, about a particular university, about a particular trade school, they will refer you to Constituency Development Fund. They will boldly tell you to say, use CDF. And in the same CDF, they send a catalog of projects every year that they want you to do using the Constituency Development Fund. Why not just keep this money at the ministry and let the ministries implement, instead of ballooning the figure, and you also balloon the things that you want CDF to be used for? Madam Speaker, that is not correct. The increment should have made a lot of sense if it was left for the people to make decisions. Right now, most of the challenges we are facing in here is because the central government still wants the country to be developed by 4% of the national budget. Madam Speaker, you may wish to know that Constituency Development Fund is at about 5% of the national budget. And that is what the entire government depends on to develop the country, which is not possible, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, actually, I'm being reminded that it's 3%. You cannot develop a country with 3% of the national budget, Madam Speaker. The central government, Madam Speaker, should implement CDF side by side with the capital projects. This is what we have always asked the government to do. Unlike putting everything on the Constituency Development Fund. The other issue, Madam Speaker, is that we need capacity building in these councils. We need capacity building in these councils, Madam Speaker, so that they can smoothly implement projects under the Constituency Development Fund. More especially, municipal councils and cities that have more constituencies. It has proved to be a challenge, Madam Speaker. You find that CDF by certain constituencies, which was meant for 2024, has not even been implemented yet because they have a lot of work to do. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, I just want to appeal to both the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Local Government to ensure that they release the funds for 2024. Why hasn't that fund been released? They must make it very clear to the Zambian people who still expect services that the reasons why they've not released that fund is ABCD. Madam Speaker, failure to release that fund will continue putting pressure on the councils and will continue disturbing the implementation of projects. In this regard, Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Finance actually should issue a comprehensive statement, because they have not stated to the nation as to why the fund has not been released. Madam Speaker, also, members of Parliament are usually blamed for the late implementation of the Constituency Development Fund. We are just the committee members, Madam Speaker. We don't make decisions unilaterally. Madam Speaker, we are just the committee members, and I have never seen a member of Parliament around who has sought to frustrate the efforts of the government. Madam Speaker, it's not correct to insinuate that we have members of Parliament that frustrate the implementation of a Constituency Development Fund. And if I could put it on record, Madam Speaker, I'm a proud opposition member of Parliament who implements CDF because it's a government policy and it benefits my people. Even when I know that there are a lot of challenges surrounding the so-called CDF, but I still implement it anyway. And I always come out first in Mchinga province. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. As the time is 12:30, I suspend business until 14:30 for lunch break.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for still staying with us on Parliament Television. Business of the House has been suspended for lunch break until 14:30 hours. And on the floor of the House, just before the House went on break, was Mr. Francis Kapianga, Member of Parliament for Mpika Central, adding his voice to the motion that has been moved by Chasefu, Member of Parliament, that urging that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Local Government Accounts on the report of the Auditor General on the Constituency Development Fund for the financial year ended 31st December 2024 for the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Saturday 9th May 2026.
Right, time now to look at what has been considered on the floor of the House since 10 hours. Madam Speaker did render a ruling raised on Wednesday, 8th April 2026 by Mr. G.K. Chisanga, Member of Parliament for Lukasha constituency, on whether Mr. J.M.J. Katambo, Member of Parliament for Masaiti constituency, Mr. J. Chibuye, Member of Parliament for Ron constituency, Mr. S. Mushanga, Member of Parliament for Wacha constituency, Mr. S. Chanda, Member of Parliament for Kanchiria constituency, Mrs. M. Nakaponda, Member of Parliament for Isoka constituency, and Mr. L. Chibombe, Member of Parliament for Bahati constituency, were in abrogation of Article 72 of the Constitution of Zambia, Cap 1 of the laws of Zambia, following allegations that they crossed the floor to join the United Party for National Development, UPND.
And another point of order was raised regarding the same on Friday, 10th April 2026 by Dr. Clement Andeleki, Member of Parliament for Katombola constituency, on whether Mr. B.M. Mundubile, MP for Mporokoso constituency, Mr. G. Chisanga, MP for Lukasha constituency, and Mr. S. Kampiongo, Member of Parliament for Shuangandu constituency, were in contravention of Article 72(2)(d) of the Constitution of Zambia Act, Cap 1 of the laws of Zambia, following their joining of the Forum for Democracy and Development, FDD, through the Tonse Alliance.
Another point of order was raised on Tuesday, 14th April 2026 by Mr. Bim Pundu, Member of Parliament from Nkana constituency, on whether the House was in order not to declare the Luangeni parliamentary seat vacant, following Honorable M.F. Moyo, second Deputy Speaker's joining the United Party for National Development when he was elected as an independent Member of Parliament.
And in her ruling, briefly, the Honorable Madam Speaker did indicate to the House that she was constrained from making a conclusion as to whether these members had crossed the floor, and in fact, if had crossed the floor and in fact they did not. The 2 points of order by Mr. Andeleki MP and Mr. Bimpundu respectively lacked merit due to lack of evidence. And she did say that the members were engaged in line with the parliamentary practice and rules of natural justice, and the members merely expressed their interest to join the United Party for National Development after the dissolution of the House. And she did also indicate to the House that she had, however, received information from Mr. Chanda Katotowe's lawyers regarding his resignation from the position of a Member of Parliament for Luapula constituency, and this was in accordance with Article 72 of the Constitution of Zambia. She had therefore accepted the position of, Mr. Katotowe indicated that he had accepted the position of a presidential candidate for the Patriots for Economic Progress PEP party in the 13th August 2026 general elections.
And so, Madam Speaker did guide that there were a number where a member wishes to raise a point of order founded on allegation of fact, that member is required to lay the necessary evidence on the table of the House to prove the allegation. In the absence of such evidence, the point of order cannot be sustained. So that's just a brief of the ruling that Madam Speaker did make early in the morning. And so after that, the House did consider one question for oral answer understanding order number 3082, and this is question 351. It did come from Mr. Mpundu. He did ask the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation a question in 3 parts. Approximately how many Zambian citizens were in the Republic of South Africa as of Wednesday, 6 May 2026? And the Minister did say, the acting Minister actually did say that there were 8,223. And in the other part of the question, the Member of Parliament for Nkana wanted to find out what measures government is taking to ensure the safety and well-being of Zambians citizens in view of the ongoing, anti-immigrant protests in South Africa. She did mention quite a number of them, Pauline. I will just pick out about 2, and you can pick up the rest. The Minister did say that the Ministry, in collaboration with the Zambian mission in South Africa, have actually heightened its monitoring over the development, and that Zambian nationals have actually been encouraged to get in touch with the Zambian mission in South Africa. Pauline?
And of course, the Minister did indicate that the mission was monitoring the situation, and that they had also, they are encouraging Zambian nationals in South Africa to maintain contact with the mission in order for them to be updated at this, to be updated on the situations of the nationals living that in South Africa. And also, the mission in South Africa have issued precautionary guidance to the nationals to avoid going to hotspots as some of the many precautions that have been issued by the government.
And the last part of the question, Mr. Mpundu wanted to find out if there are any Zambian citizens were affected by the disturbances as of Wednesday, 6 May 2026, and the acting Minister of Foreign Affairs did say that there are no Zambians that have been affected thus far. So that's question 315, understanding order number 82.
And the House also considered a motion that was moved by Siavonga Member of Parliament, Mr. Darius Mulunda, in which he was urging that the House adopts the report of the Parliamentary Select Committee appointed to scrutinize the presidential appointment of Mrs. Loveness Mambo Mayaka to serve as Clerk of the National Assembly for the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Saturday, 9th May 2026. This motion was seconded by Kasama Central Member of Parliament, Ms. Bongile Mwamba, and of course we did see quite a number of members of Parliament add their voice to this motion that was being discussed. And when a question was put, the motion was adopted, and Mrs. Mayaka has been appointed to be Clerk of the National Assembly.
And so still under consideration is a motion that has been moved by Mr. Nyambose, who is the chairperson of the Committee on Local Government Accounts. And this motion is being seconded by Dundumwenzi Member of Parliament, Mr. Singombe, urging the House to adopt the report of the Committee on Local Government Accounts on the report of the Auditor General on the Constituency Development Fund for the financial year ended 31st December 2024 for the fifth session of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on Saturday, 9th May 2026. And so this report is still under consideration. After lunch break, we do expect more members of Parliament to debate this particular motion. Pauline.
Yes, and of course there are still 17 bills that will be considered at different stages, and other motions also still to come. So keep watching Parliament Television.
Her Honor, the Vice President's question time.
Questions for oral answer understanding order number 76.
A matter to be admitted, it has to be of recent occurrence.
Continue watching Parliament TV, a channel dedicated to bring Parliament closer to you.
Transform your office, retail, or branch space with DSTV for Business. Add top entertainment at great value with one of our DSTV work packages, the Ultra or Essential, and create a welcoming and informative setting with cutting-edge news, business, sports, lifestyle, music channels, and much more. Contact us today and let our experts guide you in selecting the perfect package. When it comes to entertainment, DSTV for Business is your ultimate partner.
There is no margin for error. So much here is familiar.
Over 1,900 games brought us here.
It's not a sporting heat quite like this.
But history doesn't care about the journey.
The Premier League is the best league in the world.
La Liga is far and beyond the biggest winner.
It only remembers how it ends.
You bought it. It's not a word. You bought it.
8 titles. 1 month of mayhem to decide them all.
Outstanding from Patrick Dorgan!
Stay connected and watch GoTV to catch the football season finale this May. It's on.
This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come.
Wherever you are, whatever your reason, it's on SuperSport all season long. Reconnect to DSTV Compact and GoTV Super Plus today and get the best football on us. Just like Saka and Odegaard need to work together for the perfect play.
Rising to the occasion again.
Your subscription is also at its best when paired with DSTV Stream.
This is not a coincidence.
With DSTV Stream, you can watch live TV or catch-up box sets anywhere, anytime, on any smart device. And that's just the start of its amazing features.
Are you sure? I think this is legit.
So whenever you want to enjoy DSTV, don't forget your free companion app, DSTV Stream.
Following the initial training of prospective parliamentarians, the Institute for Parliamentary Studies and Training conducted a second session aimed at further strengthening leadership capacity among aspiring leaders. The training brought together a new group of participants, all seeking to deepen their understanding of parliamentary processes and democratic governance. Drawn from diverse backgrounds, the participants shared a common goal to prepare for the responsibilities of public service and national leadership. The program, organized by the Institute for Parliamentary Studies and Training, in collaboration with the Zambia Center for Inter-Party Dialogue, continues to play a key role in equipping future leaders with essential parliamentary knowledge and skills. Mr. Tenson Nyangu, head of the Institute for Parliamentary Studies and Training, delivered a session on parliamentary procedure and practice.
We have various rules. Some rules are contained in this booklet. So this is called National Assembly of Zambia Standing Orders 2024. It was updated 2 years ago. Some of the rules are contained in this booklet. But not all the rules are in here. Because if we put all the rules in here, the volume would be like, I don't know. There are some that are not written down. Rules, they are rules of the House, but they are not written down. Some of them, like he was saying, they are practices. They've been practiced over time. So they have become part of the rules. Some of the rules are in the Constitution. Other rules are in subsidiary legislation. So there are various rules. So whatever you want to do, the first thing if you want to be an effective MP, the first thing is find out what are the rules governing what I want to do, right? If it is a question, for instance, or if it is a private member's motion, a private member's motion is a proposal that is made by any member than a minister, right? So any member of the House can make a proposal. For instance, it can be, let's increase funding for youth programs, right? So if that is what is burning in your constituency or whatever, then you ask yourselves, what are the rules governing private members' motions?
The training also featured a session by National Assembly of Zambia Senior Committee Clerk, Mr. Charles Chishimba, who provided practical insights into the day-to-day responsibilities of a member of parliament.
What happens in our jurisdiction is that the president appoints his cabinet from the elected members of parliament. In other jurisdictions, the president appoints the cabinet outside of parliament. And so it means that the first thing that happens after an election and the president appoints his cabinet, the residue, for lack of a better word, those members of parliament, whether from the ruling party or the opposition or independents, who have not been appointed to hold ministerial positions, are the ones that are called backbenchers. So a backbencher doesn't mean is not a member of the ruling party. It just means that they are not holding any ministerial position. So those backbenchers, after the president has appointed his cabinet, are the ones now that are sent into committees. And you know what committees do? Even in our families, we have committees. And that is simply to, like Mr. Nyango was saying, you can't subject a matter like we are going to have 270-something members of parliament. You can't subject a matter to discussion in such a large group. So you need smaller groups so they can take time to deliberate and, make recommendations. And that is why committees are constituted. So when, for instance, the executive decides to change a law in education, and they propose a bill, they actually draft a bill, the concept of what they want to do comes from the ministry. And so the ministry, in conjunction with the Minister of Justice, they put it in legal language. But the concept comes from the ministry.
Interactive discussions formed a key part of the training, allowing participants to engage facilitators and exchange ideas on governance, representation, and accountability. At the end of the training, participants were awarded certificates in recognition of their participation and commitment to strengthening their understanding of parliamentary work. Participants reflected on their experiences, highlighting the impact of the program on their personal growth, leadership aspirations, and commitment to public service. Gemma Kawe spoke about what inspired her to step forward and aspire for parliamentary leadership, citing the training as a motivating factor in her journey.
What inspired me to stand really is I do believe that I have a call to serve. That is to save the